All right, music fans, welcome back. It is Dave, the Real Music Observer, observing real music in real time for real people, just like you right there, all right, and yours truly right here. Okay, so this is a follow-up video to the Van Halen video I did yesterday. I was reminded by a few folks of some interviews and some things that David Lee Roth had said back in 14 and 15 when he was talking about his love of dance music. And it's the kind of music that's just nothing but beats and rhythms, and there's no organic component to it at all. Typically all computer generated. We're not talking about Donna Summer, by the way. We're not talking about what I would consider to be legitimate danceable music. We're not talking about Chic or a number of other bands that I would consider to be worthy of discussion, because they at least carried the torch of groove to the point where they were using real instruments and it sounded somewhat real, okay? Whereas Dave was talking about the stuff that's being produced nowadays, or at least a few years back, what was being offered up as dance music. So in a number of interviews, he was sort of giving his perspective on how that somehow influences his work with Van Halen, and Eddie Van Halen was having none of it. Now, for those of you who just don't like Eddie because he tends to be a bit of a recluse, he tends to be a little short on information, he tends to just hide away, and then all of a sudden, there he goes. The last go-round with Eddie, he talked a lot about how, you know, he's not dyeing his hair any funny colors like Dave apparently is. He's acting his age, which he believes Dave is not, which isn't really surprising, Dave not acting his age. I mean, come on, Eddie. But I kind of empathized with some of the stuff he was saying, but then he got to the stuff about dance music. He talked about how he really couldn't be Dave's friend. He actually said, I don't know if I can be this guy's friend. He's listening to all of this dance music. Now, he's not saying he can't be Dave's friend because of the dance music, but I think it was like adding another log on the fire, and I think Eddie may have just had it with Dave. I mean, there's a high probability that all that goofy talk that Roth did may have just sealed his fate with Van Halen, although no announcements have been made, and maybe Ed is hoping that Dave comes to his senses and says, hey, you know, it's one thing to talk about, you know, torque and sort of a groove and a soul type element to the music that you're trying to perform and create and write and so forth. But it's another to say, hey, you're into this synthetic beats thing, which apparently Eddie is not. Eddie, when asked about what he listens to, he typically says, like, not that much. I mean, Eddie's influences were from long ago, and I don't think he's out there really surfing the web for things to influence the guy who pretty much changed how the guitar is played. You know, Sammy has said some disparaging thing about things in general about the way Eddie plays guitar live and how he's sloppy and this and that. But let's be honest. I mean, I love Sammy, but Eddie Van Halen is still Eddie Van Halen. I mean, the guy's already paved enough highway for, you know, his ticket to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and a few other tickets. And if they invent a Guitar Player Hall of Fame or a Guitar Innovator Hall of Fame, I mean, he'd be one of the first inductees. It's kind of a moot point. But the crux of this video, which I'm trying to get to the point now, is possibly there is no relationship right now between Eddie Van Halen and David Lee Roth, based on some of the stuff that Roth said the last time around. And I think, obviously, the Hagar bridge was burned to the ground, and then it was then covered up with some dirt last year when Sammy turned 70. Sammy has since had another birthday, and again, nothing from Eddie or Alex or Wolfie wishing Sammy a happy birthday. So Van Halen remains in limbo. My guess is if they are to continue on, it will be with Dave, because I just don't think Eddie's going to eat that much crow and have Sammy back in the band. And Sammy has said it's done, but I think Sammy would immediately run if the opportunity presented itself. All right, I'm done. I'll be back with more soon. Stay tuned for that.